All right, we're here with Senator Bob Graham at the Barnes & Noble bookstore at Union Station in Washington, D.C. Senator, good to meet you.
Anthony, glad to see a fellow Floridian and a fellow Gator.
Go Gators. Let me just show the book real quick. Senator is autographing. He's got a stack of books here. Was meeting people and talk about the book itself. So you took some time to write a book after you retired and based in truth, some fiction. Talk a bit about the book.
This is my fourth book. The first three were nonfiction. This book tells some things that I tried to say in nonfiction, but was unable to do so primarily because of levels of censorship. This book is about 40% truthful, with the exception that I changed the names of living people.
So it's tied into 9/11, and it's a thriller. Okay.
And then some of the things that I believe were potential aftermaths.
Interesting. I look forward to reading it. And talk about just the writing process, how long it took you to write it, and just writing 4 books. It's interesting.
It took me 5 years. I started writing it in 2006 and finished it in 2011. Now, I had a couple of long interludes of inactivity on the book.
Gotcha.
The first was I was chairman of the Commission on Weapons of Mass Destruction, which ended up being very significant in the last third of the book. Then in 2010, I co-chaired the Oil Spill Commission, so there was a period of about a year and a half between those two.
So you're busy,
I did
okay.
very little writing.
Was it hard to put it down and pick it back up, or did you find it pretty easy to?
I was into the book, and I didn't lose my interest or motivation.
Do you think it'll stir some controversy about 9/11 again, or is that?
Well, it has.
Okay.
Some people think 9/11 is a dead issue and don't think it should be raised again. I believe there are some important unanswered questions, largely having to do with the role of Saudi Arabia in 9/11. And in the title of the book, Keys to the Kingdom is the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Interesting. Okay. So what would you say the biggest unanswered issue would be?
1, what was the full extent of the Saudi role?
Okay.
2, why did the Saudis do what they did?
Gotcha.
And 3, why has the United States gone to such lengths, to date largely successfully, to disguise the Saudi role?
And do you think we'll ever get to the bottom of it?
Yes, I think we eventually will.
Okay.
There's some important information which continues to be classified that will eventually be released and will give the public a better understanding. I co-chaired the congressional inquiry into 9/11. We wrote an over 800-page final report. When that report was reviewed by the censors, one chapter of 28 pages, which had to do with the Saudi role in 9/11, was censored. It's never been seen by the public. I might say I maybe have suggested some of what will be in that chapter when the public gets to read it.
Interesting. Well, I look forward to reading it and discovering more about this issue. How would you say the country has recovered from 9/11, just as a whole? New York, D.C., Pennsylvania.
Well, I think physically it's recovered remarkably. Recently, I was in New York and spent quite a bit of time at the World Trade Center site and saw the new buildings that were under construction. I think there still are many scars from 9/11. Today, I flew up from Fort Lauderdale to Washington Reagan, and like every other passenger, experienced the kind of scrutiny that was unheard of before 9/11.
Right. Let me shift. I live in New York City. It seems to be handling things well, I guess, here a decade later. We were talking a bit about J.P. Morgan, which is in New York. Just give us your 2 cents on how the big loss and how Jamie Dimon handled it, just from your perspective on how the $2 billion loss was.
I'm a big admirer of Jamie Dimon. I was also on the Financial Crisis Inquiry Commission, and we had a number of hearings and private sessions with the leaders of the major U.S. financial institutions, and clearly Dimon was the leader of the leaders. In part, it was because his bank hadn't gone through some of the excruciating experiences of his peers, that gave him some moral authority. And then he's just a very bright and persuasive person. I would think that one of the things that's going to come out of this is that some of the reluctance of the regulators, such as the SEC and the Fed, to aggressively adopt the regulations necessary for Dodd-Frank, that reticence is now going to be significantly eroded.
This could help that along. Having been I'm a Florida Gator grad, I spent 25 years in Florida. While you were governor, Florida had somewhat of a bad rap since, I guess, it was the 2000 election. How has it recovered? What's your take on? I mean, you must still have a love for the state. How do you think the reputation has recovered since then?
Yes, I'm living in Florida in Miami Lakes, which is used to be a dairy farm that I grew up on. So
nice.
I'm 75 years old and I've moved less than 4 miles.
Oh, nice. Okay.
From where I was a kid. Florida is a very resilient state. Part of that resilience is it's a constantly changing state. When I was born, Florida had 1.5 million people. Today it's over 19 million. So it's a different place. I think politically the state has changed dramatically. For instance, when I was in politics, it was still very much a Democratic state. Today it's very much a Republican state. In the presidential elections, it's competitive. Obama carried it in 2008, and I think we'll have a good shot carrying it in 2012.
And do you miss being a senator, a governor? Do you miss that role?
Well, I love my 38 years in public office, but I was ready to do something else. I was ready to spend more time with my 11 grandchildren.
Fantastic.
And I wanted to write...
Beautiful family, nice.
I wanted to write some books about things that I was concerned about, including the state of citizenship in America. And I wrote a book called America, the Owner's Manual, and established a center at the University of Florida, modestly called the Bob Graham Center for Public Service. And then I was still had some of these lingering concerns that there were important aspects of 9/11 that had not been disclosed.
Very nice.
And I knew what some of those were, looking for a means to talk about them that wouldn't be subject to such extreme censorship, and writing a novel was my means of doing so.
Yeah, I look forward to reading the book. Final question. In the next, you're 75, you served for 38 years. In the next decade, what do you think the biggest issue this country could tackle that we're able to tackle, do you think?
I think the big issue is going to be America and the world. We still are in this position where we think of ourselves as being like we were in the Cold War, where we were the dominant country and could virtually do anything we want to. I think some of the statements that Mitt Romney has made about foreign policy echo that period. The reality is today that instead of being in a single or bipolar world, we're in a multipolar, and it gets more multiple as new countries
changing dynamic,
Brazil
emerging markets,
emerge and become world class and world leaders. And I think the challenge for America is going to be to understand that and then be able to answer the question, how does America continue to maintain its uniqueness and its high standard of living when it is less of an island and more a part of a big continent.
Less than that. All right, Senator Graham, thanks so much for your time for HiAnthony.com.
And I'm glad to see a Gator is doing so well. Of course, all Gators do well.
We do, though. We go Gators.
Go Gators.
All right, Senator. Thank you so much.
Thank you.